hobbits suddenly realized that people had looked at them with amazement, not out of surprise at their return, so much as in wonder at their gear. They themselves had become so used to warfare and to riding in well-arrayed companies that they had quite forgotten that the bright mail peeping from under their cloaks, and the helms of Gondor and the Mark, and the fair devices on their shields would seem outlandish in their own country. And Gandalf too was now riding on his tall gray horse, all clad in white with a great mantle of blue and silver over all, and the long sword Glamdring at his side. Gandalf laughed. Well, well, he said, if they are afraid of just 5 of us, then we have met worse enemies on our travels. But at any rate, they will give you peace at night while we stay. How long will that be? Said Butterbur. I'll not deny we should be glad to have you about for a bit. You see, we're not used to such troubles, and the rangers have all gone away, folk tell me. I don't think we've rightly understood till now what they did for us. For there's been worse than robbers about. Wolves were howling round the fences last winter, and there's dark shapes in the woods, dreadful things, and it makes the blood run cold to think of. It's been very disturbing, if you understand me. I expect it has, said Gandalf. Nearly all lands have been disturbed these days, very disturbed. But cheer up, Barleyman. You have been on the edge of very great troubles, and I am only glad to hear that you have not been deeper in. But better times are coming, maybe better than any you remember. The Rangers have returned. We came back with them, and there is a king again, Barleyman, who will soon be turning his mind this way. Then the Greenway will be opened again, and his messengers will come north, and there will be comings and goings, and the evil things will be driven out of the wastelands. Indeed, the waste in time will be waste no longer, and there will be people and fields where once there was wilderness. Mr. Butterbur shook his head. If there's a few decent, respectable folk on the roads, that won't do no harm, he said. But we don't want no more rabble and ruffians, and we don't want no outsiders at Bree, nor near Bree at all. We want to be let alone. I don't want a whole crowd of strangers camping here and settling there and tearing up the wild country. You will be let alone, Barleyman, said Gandalf. There is room enough for realms between Isen and Greyflood, or along the shorelands south of the Brandywine, without anyone living within many days' ride of Bree. And many folks used to dwell away north 100 miles or more from here, at the far end of the Greenway, on the North Downs, or by Lake Evandem.
Up away by Dead Man's Dyke, said Butterbur, looking even more dubious. That's haunted land, they said. None but a robber would go there. The Rangers go there, said Gandalf. Dead Man's Dyke, you say. So it's been called for long years. But its right name, Barleyman, is Farnest Aaron, Norbury of the Kings. And the king will come there again one day. And then you'll have some fair folk riding through. Well, that sounds more hopeful, I'll allow, said Butterbur. And it'll be good for business, no doubt. So long as let's Bree alone. He will, said Gandalf. He knows it and loves it. Does he know? Said Butterbur, looking puzzled. Though I'm sure, I don't know why he should, sitting in his big chair up in the great castle, hundreds of miles away, and drinking wine out of a golden cup. I shouldn't wonder. What's the pony to him, or mugs of beer? Not but what my beer's good, Gandalf. It's been uncommon good since you've came to the autumn of last year and put a good word on it. And that's been a comfort in trouble, I will say. Ah, said Sam, but he says your beer is always good. He says? Of course he does. He's Strider, the chief of the Rangers. Haven't you got that into your head yet? It went in at last, and Butterbur's face was a study in wonder. The eyes of his broad face grew round, and his mouth opened wide, and he gasped. Strider, he exclaimed when he got back his breath. Him with a crown and all, and a golden cup. Well, what are we coming to? Better times for Bree, at any rate, said Gandalf. I hope so, I'm sure, said Butterbur. Well, this has been the nicest chat I've had in a month of Mondays. And I'll not deny that I'll sleep easier tonight and with a lighter heart. You've given me a powerful lot to think over, but I'll put that off until tomorrow. I'm for bed, and I've no doubt that you'll be glad of your beds too. Hey, Nob, he called, going to the door. Nob, you slow coach? Nob, he said to himself, slapping his forehead. Now what does that remind me of? Not another letter you've forgotten, I hope, Mr. Butterbur, said Mary. Now, Mr. Brandybuck, don't go reminding me of that. But there you've broken my thought. Now, where was I? Nob Stables. Ah, that was it. I've something that belongs to you. If you recollect Bill Fernie and the horse thieving, his pony as you bought, well, it's here. Come back all of itself it did, but where it did been to you, no better than me. It was as shaggy as an old dog and as lean as a clothes rail, but it was alive. Nobbs looked after it.
What, my Bill? Cried Sam. Well, I was born lucky, whatever my gaffer may say. There's another wish come true. Where is he?
Sam would not go to the bed until he had visited Bill in his stable. The travelers stayed in Bree all the next day, and Mr. Butterbur could not complain of his business next evening at any rate. Curiosity overcame all fears, and his house was crowded. For a while of the politeness, the hobbits visited the common room in the evening and answered a good many questions.
Free memories being retentive, Frodo was asked many times if he had written his book.
Not yet, he answered. I'm going home now to put my notes in order. He promised to deal with the amazing events at Bree, and so give a bit of interest to a book that appeared likely to treat mostly of the remote and less important affairs away south. Then one of the younger folk called a song, but at that a hush fell, and he was frowned down, and the call was not repeated. Evidently, there was no wish for any uncanny events in the common room again.
No trouble by day nor any sound by night disturbed the peace of Bree while the travelers remained there. But the next morning they got up early, for as the weather was still rainy, they wished to reach the Shire before night, and it was a long ride. The Bree folk were all out to see them off, and were in merrier mood than they had been for a year. And those who had not seen the strangers in all their gear before gaped with wonder at them, at Gandalf with his white beard and the light that seemed to gleam from him, as if his blue mantle was only a cloud over sunshine, and at the four hobbits like riders upon errantry out of almost forgotten tales. Even those who had laughed at all the talk about the king began to think there might be some truth in it. Well, good luck on your road, and good luck to your homecoming, said Mr. Butterbur. I should have warned you before that all's not well in the Shire neither, if that's what we hear is true. Funny goings on, they say, but one thing drives at another, and I was full of my own troubles. But if I may be so bold, you've come back changed from your travels, and you look now like folk as can deal with troubles out of hand. I don't doubt you'll soon set all to rights. Good luck to you, and the oftener you come back, the better I'll be pleased. They wished him farewell and rode away, and passed through the west gate and on towards the Shire. Bill the pony was with them, and as before, he had a good deal of baggage, but he trotted along beside Sam and seemed well content. I wonder what old Barleyman was hinting at, said Frodo. I can guess some of it, said Sam gloomily. What I saw in the mirror, trees cut down and all, and my old gaffer turned out of the row, I ought to have hurried back quicker. And something's wrong with the South Farthing, evidently, said Mary. There's a general shortage of pipeweed. Whatever it is, said Pippin, Lotho will be at the bottom of it. You can be sure of that. Deep in, but not at the bottom, said Gandalf. You have forgotten Saruman. He began to take an interest in the Shire before Mordor did. Well, we've got you with us, said Mary, so things will soon be cleared up. I am with you at present, said Gandalf, but soon I shall not be. I am not coming to the Shire. You must settle its affairs yourself. That is what you have been trained for. Do you not yet understand? My time is over. It is no longer my task to set things to rights, nor to help folk to do so. And as for you, my dear friends, you will need no help. You are grown up now, grown indeed very high among the great you are, and I have no longer any fear at all for any of you. But if you would know, I am turning aside soon. I'm going to have a long talk with Bombadil, such a talk as I have not had in all my time. He is a moss gatherer, and I have been a stone doomed to rolling. But my rolling days are ending, and now we shall have much to say to one another. In a little while they came to the point on the east road where they had taken leave of Bombadil, and they hoped and half expected to see him standing there to greet them as they went by. But there was no sign of him, and there was a gray mist on the Barrow Downs southwards, and a deep veil over to the old forest far away. They halted, and Frodo looked south wistfully. I should dearly like to see the old fellow again, he said. I wonder how he is getting on. As well as ever, you may be sure, said Gandalf. Quite untroubled, and I should guess, not much interested in anything that we have done or seen, unless perhaps in our visits to the Ents. There may be a time later for you to go and see him, but if I were you, I should press on now for home, or you will not come to the Brandywine Bridge before the gates are locked. But there aren't any gates, said Mary. Not on the road, you know that quite well. There's the Buckland Gate, of course, but they'll let me through that at any time. There weren't any gates, you mean, said Gandalf. I think you will find some now, and you might have more trouble even at the Buckland Gate than you think. But you'll manage all right. Goodbye, dear friends. Not for the last time. Not yet. Goodbye. He turned Shadowfax off the road, and the great horse leaped the green dike that here ran beside it, and then at a cry from Gandalf he was gone, racing towards the Barrow Downs like a wind from the north. Well, here we are, just the four of us that started out together, said Mary. We have left all the rest behind, one after another. It seems almost like a dream that has slowly faded. Not to me, said Frodo. To me it feels more like falling asleep again.
That was wonderful. Thank you both so much.
Oh, you're
I
welcome.
really appreciate your help. And Justin, I can't thank you for everything you did with all the that video was great, and the flyer and all the PR you're putting on your Discord. I'm very grateful.
Oh, of course, not a problem at all. Anything for charity and anything for kids, especially.
Thank you again. All right, you all have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.
You. Nice to meet
Bye-bye.
you.
Seeing you.